Sorry, all this time I was talking on mute. So good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining. During weekends also you are spending time and joining the user group session. I'm very happy about that. It is not, easy one. Thanks for your, participation. And yeah, so we can wait for 5 more minutes for other participants to join, and then we can start a session. And you can use the chat session to give an introduction about yourself. I can see many of my colleagues and ex-colleagues, Sachin, Afak, Narayan. Thanks, Narayan, for joining. And okay, I can see other participants also: Sonia, Sangam, Arshad, Umar Sheikh, Nikhil Kumar, Bharati Raja. Okay, thank you so much. And yeah, so today with me, Adi Palam is also going to present. Let's wait for him, and then we can start. So until that time, please use the chat section and give an introduction about yourself. I can see some of the new members also. So you can tell this is your first user session or first Chennai, first time you are attending Chennai user group session. You can mention about it in the chat. And I can see some, okay, okay. So this is like a webinar. You can interact with others in the chat, and you can share your feedbacks. And if you have any question, you can put it in the chat. And today's session, okay, thanks, Sonia. You are joining from Portugal. Glad to hear that. Hi, Ashwath. Okay, so this session, so first session we talked, we saw about the patterns, mobile sync patterns in OutSystem. Second pattern, what is delta sync and how we can improve the performance, how we can call asynchronously, how we can create more sync units so that we can sync it properly. So those things we saw that. So this session we are going to see about best practices and offline syncing, right? So what are the things you have to make sure, and whenever any error come, how you can identify and rectify that. Also some tips from our previous experience. So what are the mainly what, because of what practice errors can occur, and it is very difficult to identify also. So those things and all we are going to cover. And with me, Adeep also is going to present. So let's wait for 5 more minutes, and then we can start the session. And so, as we discussed, right? So the recordings are already uploaded in the YouTube. I have shared in the LinkedIn. Many people inquired about that to me in LinkedIn and from user group portal. So it is uploaded. It is available in the YouTube. You can watch that. And also, I have uploaded the previous session PowerPoint. I mean presentation in the SharePoint. I will share the link here, and you can use that. Shortly, I will share it in the LinkedIn also, so that other members also, uh, use that one. And yes, join. Okay, hi Adi.
Hey, hi everyone. Sorry
Okay,
for the wait.
yeah, no problem. Okay, so yes, hi Mukesh. Thanks for joining. And let's wait for a couple, 2 more minutes, and then we can start the session. And yes, if you have any question on the previous session, maybe common question related to the offline syncing, those things also we are planning to address today. So the sessions mainly about how we can troubleshoot, how we can debug properly, what are the main things we may miss because of that errors can occur, and what are the best practices we need to follow. So those things we are planning to cover. Apart from that, if you have any question related to the offline syncing, if you have some scenario, if you want to know like what is the best things to address that, you can discuss about it. And yes, hi Josh, thanks for joining. And actually, so in the end of the session, we will conduct a quiz. So this, since it's a master class, so we will see who participated in all the three session, and based upon that and based on the winner list also, we will decide the winner and we will announce it in the LinkedIn. So yes, I can see some new participant also. Okay, thank you. Okay, so Adip, shall we start the session?
Yes, Sajal, I'm good to go.
Right, I will share my screen. Just a minute. 1 minute. Hope my screen is visible. Adip, please
It is
continue.
visible.
Okay, just okay. So today, I think I have not changed the date. Sorry for that. So today we are going to see about, as I said earlier, right, best practices in mobile app development, offline sync checklist, and how to troubleshoot the errors. So before going to that, let's small introduction about the community, our system community. We all know it's a very big community having eight 824K plus members, and there are so many forged components. Not only OutSystem 11, I can see so many components every day is getting added for ODC as well, and there are so many courses, many guided paths like .NET to OutSystem and how to become a mobile app developer, how to become a tester. So for each role also there are so many guided paths are available. So and 2 million plus completed courses, and community is very big, and our system is conducting so many programs to encourage the community to learn more and contribute more. So one of the thing is user groups. So if you go to that outsystem.com/community, you can see what is going on in the community. If there are any recent announcement, you can check that. And one of the amazing initiative or system taken, I think, before 3 years, that is user groups. And I'm glad I'm one of the user group organizer from the beginning. So user group is like for the session, for the community, by the community. So not only right, so not only learning, you can share your knowledge also. If you want to speak in the user group session, you can reach out to me and Krishnambal, so we can make the arrangements for you. You can share your knowledge. Maybe you have faced some challenges in your project and you have successfully overcome that. You can share that tips to the community so that they can also learn from that. And so to I encourage the community leaders. So our system is having two programs, champions and MVP. If you go to this website, you can see what is champion, what is MVP. Champions, if you feel you are eligible for a champion, you can apply for a champion. So every quarter beginning, champions application will be open. You can go to that website and apply for that. And MVP, you can nominate any one of your community member, if you feel they are contributing more to the community and they are having so much expertise in our system, then you can nominate them as an MVP. And this is the URL for nominating the MVP. And apart from that, OutSystem is having OutSystem Developer School. It is for encouraging other technology professional to learn about OutSystem. So it's really a great opportunity if you feel any one of your friend good in that technology, whatever they are working, and if you feel if they learn OutSystem, it can change their life, change their career. In that case, you can share this URL to them so they can enroll this program and they will get a training from OutSystem experts for 2 weeks, and then in the end of the course they can also get a voucher, so that it's a free exam voucher, and they can get the certification as well. And the next program is OutSystem research program. So even the ideas portal is there, so you can share your ideas in OutSystem. But this research program, OutSystem, whenever they want, before releasing any product release, right, any updates to the product, so they want our opinions also. So if you join the research program, you can also participate in the research activities, and you can share your thoughts and opinion. And not only that, you can also get rewards from OutSystem. And yes, so Chennai OutSystem user group organizer. So me and Krishnabal organizing this user group from the beginning. So my name is Hati Meri. I'm one of the OutSystem champion. Currently, I'm working as an architect Asia. And about Krishnabal, she is one of the MVP, and she is the manager at Sebia. And today, me and Adib is going to conduct this session, present this session. So, yes, the agenda, technical discussion, and then quiz, and then event wrap up. So, first, about offline checklist and troubleshooting. So, this topic Adib is going to present to us. Adib, over to you. I will stop the screen sharing. You can share your screen.
Sure, okay. I will first start with my introduction. So, my name is Adib Alam, and I am working as a OutSystems developer in a web tech for more than 3 years. And I love exploring new technologies. OutSystems one was one of them, which I got familiar with, and I got hands-on experience. I worked on many projects, and that I had a quite good experience with OutSystems. Sharing knowledge is one of the biggest asset, I believe, for everyone. We can always share our knowledge to increase it. So here I go. I will start sharing my screen. Let me know once it is visible.
Yeah, it's visible, Adib.
So as you know that this will be the third session of our the entire entire master class. This will be the last session, and we have covered many topics in the previous two sessions. If you have not attended those sessions, you can go back and recall all the previous points. So in those previous slides, we have covered the synchronization, handling the mobile application, how to build it, and what are the steps of the local storage. And local storage is very important in the mobile application. It plays a very important role in offline and online scenarios. So there are some things which I am going to talk in advance. Like I will not be covering those old topics as we have covered in the previous sessions. Continuing to that particular thing, this is the first thing which I am going to introduce, which is the mobile uploading the document part. So sometimes what will happen, there will be a requirement when you have to build a offline application, and in that offline application sometimes you have to upload documents. But uploading the documents in mobile application and offline, the file size can vary, right? It can be huge. You have to store multiple files. You have to store a huge file. In that case, we have one solution for that, which can improve performance, and it also improves the handling of the files in your local device. So this is a file plugin. It is a force component. You can download it. After that, what you are going to do is managing large document upload. When attempting to upload substantial document, it is crucial to manage the size effectively to upload the upload failures. Like the large file sizes can lead to timeouts and interruption in uploading process, especially in offline mode. So we have to make sure that when we are uploading the file, we can compress it. There are certain steps we can take while uploading the file. We can store it in our local database. There is no issue in that. But to optimize the performance, if you are listing those files, if you are keeping a record of them, showing that to the user, it is better that you can keep those files to somewhere else instead of directly in your entity. So this file plugin provides you a action of save file. In that, you can pass your binary data, your name, and your path. After that, the storage type, what internal or external storage, you can select those types. After that, you can it will return the URI. This URI you are going to store in your document entity. So we will have a reference by this URI. So once I want to get that file, I want to get the content of that file, I can use this particular action, get file data from URI, and I can easily get all the content of the URI, all the content of the file from that particular URI. So this is how you can use the file plugin utilizing internal storage. It is also uh, in scenario where document size exceeds the upload limits. So leveraging internal storage option becomes essential. Like how if you are storing multiple documents, right? Your entity will get heavy, and while fetching that entity, it will compromise the performance. To improve that, you can of course store the documents in the file plugin, and then you can reuse it. You can fetch it whenever you want while syncing, while doing multiple actions. This is one thing. Second, I would like to go into avoid excessive sync action calls. So, what I'm trying to say here is that whenever you are going to use sync, you have to place it carefully. You don't have to use it multiple times, and you can understand the importance of synchronization. Overusing the sync action can lead to the bottlenecks of performance issues. Of course, we know that if we are placing multiple sync actions unnecessarily, we will get performance issues. So in that case, what we can do is we can identify the scenario in which we are going to use the sync action. Suppose you are having a button. In that button on click, you are going to click that button and you are going to sync. Suppose there is a form. In that form, when you are going to click on submit button, then you are going to sync the action. You're going to call the sync action. So this is how you can plan the scenarios where you need to call the sync action to make the performance better. Impact of excessive sync calls. So excessive sync calls means the you might be having a static entity which needs to be synced for local usage. So you can sync these all entities while you are logging in, not on all the other places, because once those entities are synced, you don't need to sync it again. So there are also one more way of alternative sync actions, like you can use trigger offline data sync. What it will do, it will call an asynchronous call to the sync so that you will fetch the data asynchronously without blocking the user from performing multiple operations. Regularly profiling your application can sync that are access use performance monitoring tool to analyze the execution time. You can also see that how much time your sync action is taking, so that you can place it somewhere else, or you can also make that particular sync action asynchronous. So this is how you can do that. Educate the team, ensure all the team members understand the implementation implications of excessive sync actions. conduct training sessions to promote best practices in coding. So before you jump onto a project, when we are building a sync project, it is a very uh, best practice to educate the team that if we are going to use that sync operation, what can be the outcomes of that, and how we are going to use that, so that every team member will have a brief on that, and in the future it will be useful for maintaining the code. Reviewing the existing code. In suppose there is already existing code which is unoptimized, so of course you can go review that entire code. You can remove unnecessary sync calls. You can make sync calls asynchronous to improve the performance. And implementing coding standards. Establish clear coding standard that discourage excessive sync action calls, that includes the guideline for when use syncs async methods. So we can establish some rules where we are going to implement the sync, when we are going to trigger it, and when we should make it asynchronous. It is always better to sync all the information mainly while logging in. Next thing is so handling last when data override issue. So what will happen in this scenario? I will handling the last read write last when data override issue is this. I'm going to explain it through Paint. Just give me 1 second. Okay. So suppose these are two devices, and this is the server. This is device one. This is device two. This is the server. So in device one, you have created one record, suppose of ID 1. In the second device, now you have synced that record. So here also we are having that record, and on the server also there is that record. So suppose in that record one, someone had updated the name A, and the second person will come, and if he updates the name B, then what will happen in the server, that if this also sync and this also sync, so whoever is syncing last, suppose my second member has synced last, so all the data which was filled by user 1, it will be vanished and it will get override by B. This will happen. This is the issue with read write last sync. So you have to always make sure that this will not happen. Last one overrides prefer process when most recent update to the data. Uh, what it is saying that the most recent update, whoever updates the data last, it will show that person's data, and all the data previous to that will get overridden. So sometimes this will happen. It will create a huge confusion to the users that I have filled this, I have entered my data this, I have captured, I have filled this, I have filled this name and this email. But now for the same record, the entire thing got changed. So for to avoid that, you can have multiple scenario. You can have logs, logs like who has created those particular, who had created that record, and who is going to update that record. So how you are going to add log is that this, suppose this is your sync action. You are creating companies. In this company, I am going to put a log message that who is going to create this company. Simply, I will do the log message by first. I will say the get. I will get the get user ID. You can customize your own messages in the log to get the better understanding according to business logic and this ID. So this is the user and this is the ID. I can say that this user ID has updated this record, has created this record, and similarly, you can also place a log message here. In this log message, you will get to know who updated that particular ID. By this, you will get a clear idea that what is happening in the sync in the background when from the logs by the service center. It will also reduce many of the risk. Like if suppose if someone has overwrite the data, you can always have a record that this was last updated by that person, so that you don't need to, you know, it will create a lot of confusion if you don't keep logs for that. Okay. So harnessing logs for effective synchronization, that is the same thing which I have explained. You can add logs. After that, this is a new thing which I have find out in the PWA apps, that all the local entities, what you can do, you can check the data in the browser itself from that local entity. Let me show you how. So if I this is my preview window of the PWA app. I am deleting all the records for now. So this is my server entity database. This is my local database. I will inspect it. I can see I will see that I can go to the application. In the application, I can go to indexes DB. In this indexes DB, I can get all the local entities which I have created in my service studio. So I'm having this company entity. As you can see, as I click on company entity, it is right now empty. So if I click on sync, this all data will be transferred to my local entity. Once I refresh this, I can see all those records in my local device from the inspect window. I can see what devices are, what entities are synced, what are not. This will also give me a clear understanding of what my data is getting synced and what is getting what not is getting synced, so I can easily troubleshoot the issues. I can see the name, uh, whatever is there in the local, I can see from here. Other than that, you can also clear your local database from here. If I clear it from here, if I refresh it, I will not be seeing any data now for sure.
Also, Adip, can you show how we can check, how many storage, like how many GP occupied or MP occupied? Chrome is how much,
Of course.
allocating.
So we are having this storage. We are having this limit of how much of MB Chrome can store. And right now, my application is using 33% of that MB. So when you open incognito mode, this number is very less compared to this. I will show you. So if I inspect it, see in my incognito mode, I am only getting 1000 MB of storage. But in my actual window, I am having the storage, how much my laptop can support. So sometimes when you are testing on incognito mode, it can also give you some challenges due to storage if your storage gets full. You will not be able to click any button. You will not be able to navigate. The OutSystem service worker will not work once the storage is full.
Yeah, adding to what Adib said, so sometime in Service Studio, whenever you use mobile app or PW app, you can see some blank error. It will not have any information. It will just show just a blank error message. So sometime you may wonder like that means, right? So if you see that kind of error, so you ask that particular user to check the storage. So most of the time, what happened is because of their device, or if our data is very heavy, it can occupy the complete the storage whatever is Chrome is giving to us. So if the memory is exceeding the limit, then in that case our system will give blank error message, or it will say memory allocation error. So it you can even show some what to say, like you can handle it in your own way. You in the global exception, you can add a custom handler saying that, so if the message is having storage overloaded, or if it is coming empty, then you can show that message to the user, your storage is very less. Please delete the please you know
Okay. You can. No. Yeah, very correct. We have actually faced this issue sometimes. So when the user storage gets full and we were not able to figure out what is the issue, why is the application not working in that device. After that, we figure out that the storage got full for that particular user. We asked, he was also using a very old version of device, not a latest Android device. So the storage memory allocation was not happening properly in his device, due to which none of the actions were executing. This is one thing to keep in mind while developing a mobile application, that different devices can have different memory spaces. And when you're syncing your data to mobile device, you should always keep in mind that it should be like you should not keep heavy data. If you're going to keep a lot of data in your local device, it will also limits the usage of mobile application as according to the local storage, according to also internal storage of that particular device which user is using. Next thing which I want to come onto is mapping new attributes in an action. So when you're going to map, so I will quickly show my Service Studio what I meant by this is. So suppose you're already having an entity of company, and already having a local for that entity. If you can see, it is a company identifier. I will go to the company entity. What I'm going to do is, suppose for the new requirement, I have already built the entire sync action. Now for the new requirement, I'm going to add more attributes to my entity. Suppose I'm going to store the phone number. Same thing you are also going to add here, right? But what you need to take care is, while syncing it, you have to go to its sync action, sync companies. Okay. While syncing it, you have to properly assign all the attributes. If you can see, these two attributes recently I have added, and these are the attributes which were already there. So this also I have to assign it properly from my local to server when I am doing any of the assignment. Otherwise, it will cause the data integrity issue. So I will assign phone number, email. Whenever I'm whatever the new attributes I'm going to add, I have to add it in the create operation also, as well as I'm fetching that companies, right? So here as well, while fetching it, I have to assign it.
Yes, many times you may face this kind of issue. Maybe you would have added some columns, but while syncing, that column data will not sync. So if you are facing that kind of error, you can, as Adeep said, right, you can check the sync logic and see whether the wrapper you have properly sending that information, and from server to local you are passing properly or not. You can verify that. So please, you can tell the developers also, or whenever you do the things, no, you can create a checklist, like whenever I add a column, check the sync action, check these places, like that you can create some notes so that you will not forget about it. Yeah, please
Right. So
proceed.
there are only two places where we have to check it. First is create, update, and then this particular assign, where we are fetching the data. If we check all these 3 points, we will ensure that we have mapped all the attributes correctly, whichever we are adding newly. See, if from the scratch, if you are doing it, automatically OutSystems will map it. But if you are adding new attributes, it will not get mapped automatically. If you see, this attribute will come blank. It will store blank value all the time if I am not going to assign it. Coming to the next part. So managing attribute lengths. So suppose I am adding a text attribute as last name. So I am by default the length is 50, but I am suppose customizing it to 200, right? In my local entity, I will add a attribute. Again, I will also add the same attribute name. By default, its length will be 50. You also have to make sure that uh, this length should match the server entity length. Otherwise, you will get some runtime errors while creating a record in this entity. So this is one more point you have to keep in mind. First is that while adding the attributes, you have to see whether it is getting mapped or not in the create or update operation and in the assign. Second thing is whatever the attribute you are adding, you have to ensure that length of that attribute is equal to whatever the length is in my local entity. In both the entities, the length should match. That is second. Okay. So
And
we have also
sorry to interrupt, Pradeep. And also the text, there is a limit, right? Can you please talk about it a little bit?
yes. Text actually it cannot exceed more than 2000 in your local device. Okay, so if you are storing huge text values, you should uh, see feasible solution for that. You can store it as a binary. If it is a huge paragraph for more than 2000 characters, 10,000, it is a 10,000 character, then you can store it as a text file. But what will happen if you directly store it in your local device? It will throw an error that it is exceeding the limit of your local capability. So this thing also you have to keep in mind while developing a mobile application and storing the values in text attributes. Sorry. Okay. Okay. So this is one more issue which we have faced. Wait a second. Sorry. This is one more issue which we have faced, which was network issue. And what happened to one of our user was that he was online, but uh, he was trying to sync the data, but he was in a place where he was not getting proper networks. So what happened? The loader just keep loading for the sync, and entire data did not got synced for his particular device. So what we thought of doing with that issue is that instead of actually checking the network, whether it is offline or online, we can have two checks. One is whether the user want to use the application in offline or online. We can provide something like that to the user so that he can toggle the network from his device. Suppose what I'm trying to say is we will have a local entity, uh, device network. In this device network, we will store the user ID, or you can also have one-to-one relationship from that user ID. After that, I am also going to add is online. You can create an entity like this to store whether the user is online or offline. You can create a client action. So we are going to pass the user ID. By this action, what you will identify is that what is the uh, network of that user's device, what he has set. Sorry, is offline. By setting this, we will get to know whether the device is offline or online, and you can also update this network, right? Here first I am going to add the filter for this particular user. What is the net status of the network? And you can allow the user to set the network to true or false. If he suppose the user is in bad network place, he do not have to turn off that network from external thing. You can give a inbuilt action or inbuilt UI for that user. He can switch off the network from this particular device, and he can use the entire application in offline. Instead of get network status, we can use this particular action to fetch the status of the network.
Yeah, adding to what Adib said. So, what you can do is maybe in the menu place only, right? The header. The header only you can put one toggle button, so on and off. So the user can switch it on and switch it off. Okay, so for example, if the internet is fluctuating or if they are in the field, they don't want to do any, they don't want to turn on the internet, they can put it in off mode and they can do the operation. And once they reached good internet place, maybe like office or hospital, right? Then they can turn on and start the syncing. So if we just use OutSystem inbuilt action, it will just detect whether the person is having internet or not. Yes, he's having internet. We can't tell them to turn off the internet, but the internet is fluctuating. It is not enough to sync our data. So the user can decide whether they want to do the operation in online mode or offline mode. And not only that, when they switch on the on mode, we have to verify also. So yes, this entity is returning is or not true, but we need to verify whether they are in the internet also. With both the condition, we have to turn on the internet, and while turning off also, we have to update this entity. By this case, by this way, we can control the offline and online scenario effectively, and the user will have full control. And so you will not get more complaints, like maybe sometimes user will not know, right? Maybe they will try to sing when the internet is fluctuating or internet is very slow. So you can avoid that, avoid those scenario with the help of this manual configuration. Yeah, Adi, please proceed.
So this was the action which I have created. Update network status. You can update the network status. Suppose the user has set to true or false in the entity by that user, filtering out by that user. You can update the device network once if he is online. So how we are going to get the network status is offline. We are also going to check here if first we are going to check the get network status if that status is online. Okay. If it is online false, then we will assign this is offline to true. Otherwise, first we will check if this condition satisfies, then we will check what has user set to his condition, whether he wants to be online or offline. After that, this is how you can configure this particular part. You can do it like that instead of depending on the network every time that sometimes the network can be fast, sometimes it can be slow. So you can give the user authority to proceed whether in offline or offline according to his network conditions and feasibility. And I think, Hatimari, you can add something on that. This was the last slide for me.
Yeah, thanks for that, Deep. I will share my slide. So these are some tips for troubleshooting and some of the points you have to remember like that. So now I am going to cover what are the best practices for the mobile app development. I will share my screen. Adip, can you stop the screen sharing and then I will start.
Sure, Hatimari. Also, I wanted to say that if you have any doubts regarding all the previous sessions and all these sessions, or you have any new ideas, you can of course post it in the chat. We can discuss about them in the end of the session.
Okay,
Over to you, Hatimari.
thank you, Adip. Hope my screen is visible.
It is visible.
Okay, so we are going to see about best practices in mobile app development. So first, right, before going to that, so what are the challenges in mobile app development? So I just listed on the five challenges in mobile app development. The first one is user expectation. So we all know, right? So compared to web application, if we are using any mobile application, we will, expect quick response from the application. Otherwise, we will just close that application. We will move to the, some different application because it is very handy and we used to scroll very fast and all. So so if you are building a mobile application, you have to performance is very important factor. So you have to develop in such a way that it will load very fast and things like that. So user expectation is very much important. So for that performance is very much important. So you have to develop so that the performance will be good. So that is one of the challenge. The second challenge is device limitation because the mobile application there are so many factors are there based on their processing power. For example, Ladeep mentioned one example, right? So the user were using very old Android version. Because of that, app was behaving strange. It was not allocating proper storage, right? So there are so many factors are there. If they're based on their version, based on their internal storage, maybe because of some apps and processing powers, because of so many factors, the application, it will affect the application. So we have to design in such a way that it will be always optimized to use it. If we have to consider all these factors also while designing the application, we should not create a heavy application actually. And network restriction, as Adeep said, right? So sometimes the internet can fluctuate and all. So you have to think about that scenario also and develop. So that is also one challenge. And the fourth challenge is testing, of course, right? So yes, the app will work fine when the only one user is testing it, but when multiple users are using that application, then only the problem come, because of our key is auto number, right? If you are using like that, if many users are syncing on the same time, it can create different keys and all. So maybe if your sync logic is not proper, then it can create duplicate record, or it can, sometimes all the records can be vanished. So testing is very much important. Not only that, performance testing, and whether it is the click is working properly in different devices and all, and network. We need to change the network speed and also, and we need to test it. That is also one of the challenge. And continuous improvement, we all know Android version and especially iOS, we are getting the update very frequently. And because of that, you have to make sure your component, whatever you are using, that needs to be updated frequently. So these are the challenges in mobile app development, right? So you have, while developing, you have to think about this and plan it accordingly. And right. So, what is the key rules to overcome these problems? So, first is mobile use cases. So, you have to prioritize what the user want to see when they land on the page. They maybe they will not they will not interested in all the content, right? Maybe they just want to see who created that particular record, right? Maybe the other additional information, if they want to know, they can just click that, and we can show the information instead of showing all the things in a list screen, because maybe out of 100 records, maybe they are interested in only one record, right? So you have to prioritize what is important, what needs to be displayed in the is displayed to the user, and which is the important functionality, whether this functionality needs to be developed in mobile, or it is we can keep this functionality only in the web version. So you have to plan it accordingly. So you should not develop complex functionality in the mobile app, because it can affect the performance, and user experience will be affected because of that one functionality. Other functionality will not work properly. So you have to analyze that first, whether it is important or not, and then you have to prioritize accordingly. And then heavy logic, we need to keep it in the server side only. You should not add more complex logic in the client side. You have to keep the heavy logic in the server side only, so that the performance will, when they click on something and all, it will be very fast. So that is one important rule. The third rule is you have to use out system code instead of JavaScript. So yeah, maybe if you are very familiar with JavaScript, maybe you may like to use JavaScript more, right? But OutSystem also, when you create an action, right, it is also JavaScript only. It will, end of the day, it will create a JavaScript only. So you can use the inbuilt whatever OutSystem is giving, whatever jQuery library it is giving. You can use that instead of using JavaScript, because if you use JavaScript, you have to maybe consume some external library. Because of that also, performance can be affected. And so fourth is test your app in real world scenarios. So based on the requirement, right? So if the user is going to use the application in the place where the internet is fluctuating, like that, you have to simulate and test it. So for the real world scenario, so for example, the same record can be updated by two user. In that case, what is going to happen, whether that is happening or not. So those kind of real world scenarios, with that you have to test your application. So if you follow these four steps, then definitely your mobile app come properly. So these are the four key rules in mobile app development. Yes, so focusing on mobile use cases, like like we discussed before, right? So you have to choose what is important for the user, and you have to start with that, and start small and iterate, right? So you have to, maybe you have to create some minimal viable product, and then you can add the additional functionality instead of building everything, and when we test, everything will not work. Instead of that, you can implement one functionality and check the complete syncing and all, and then enhance further. And the list screen, right, that is very important. So you have to always use very less content, even though the user asks for it. you have to explain to the user. If we put more content, if you want more content needs to be displayed in the list screen, it can affect the performance, right? If they want, you can, maybe you put an info kind of icon. If they really want to see that, they can just click and see. Maybe you can add some more filter in the landing screen, so that if they, they maybe they can filter out and see only that particular data. So these kind of suggestion you can provide to the user, and always use less content in the list screen, and always show what is important first. For example, you are having one one data. With that data can be prepared with by joining some 2 3 entities. In that case, you can first render the easiest one, and then maybe you can show some loading icon. Once that data is cooked, then you can show that one. So first you can display what is more important, then later on you can fetch. Maybe for example, if you it is same to mobile application as well. So if you want to print the user image, right? So but images, we all know, right, it's very heavy. So instead of fetching that one and then rendering the page, instead of that you can just show the user name first. And once the data is ready, then you can, once the image is ready, image is fetched, then you can show the image. And always use common mobile pattern, not only the javascript, like not only the client action. So our system UI is having various pattern, right? It's having card, like it is having all the necessary things. So better go with that. Don't create any custom pattern. If you are creating a custom pattern, then designing that pattern also will take more time. And for that pattern, you have to add more CSS, JavaScript, and all. And we have to test it properly also. Instead of that, you can use whatever coming with the platform. You can use that mobile patterns, and then you can show the data. So these are the things that are very important for the error-free application. And the next thing is server side logic implementation. As we discussed before, always keep very simple content in the, simple logic in the client side. So in the sync, maybe you can have, means in the server side you can have some complex logic, but in the client side don't add more complexity. And always minimize the server request. So not only in the mobile application, even in server application, right? So many places, I have seen, first we will call, uh, we will call a client action. In the client action, first we will call server action. The server action will return some data, and then we will assign to a client variable. Again we will call one more server action, and from that some output will come. We will combine everything and we will display it. So here what is happening? So first client, then we are going to server, then again we are going to the client side. Again one request we are giving to server with the that second server action, and again we are going to the client. So if you do like that, more requests we are giving to the server. It will reduce the performance. It can occupy the server also. So you can avoid that by keeping. So you can, what you can do, you can put all the two server action in one single server action, and you can do whatever you want with the data, and then you can return in one shot. So if you do that, when you click that button, only one server request will go, right, instead of two server requests. And also, if you do like this, it can create some flickering effect also. First you are assigning a local variable, and if you are entering somewhere, it will show some data. After some time, we will change something, then again it will change the value. So it is not a good practice. So you can prepare the data in the server side. Once it is ready, then you can render in the client side. So you have to minimize the server request when you are building the mobile application also. And catch results. For example, yeah, local storage is also one of the, it's also like a catch only. So imagine you are having more records. For example, you are having some 10,000 record. It is really important for your mobile applications. And what you can do is, when the application load, that time only you can sync everything and you can keep it in the local storage. And whenever and imagine it is not going to change frequently. In that case, you can keep it in the local storage. And from the local storage you can wherever you want you can just use it. It is also catching only. So you can catch the this kind of bulk data so that the performance will be good. So the next point is out system components. We already saw that we have to use the building the out system UI patterns, and you can, and out system forge components also, right? So it is having the fallback also. The out system forge component means if see the same application, since it's like a hybrid application, we can distribute the mobile application in the browser also, but some of the native feature it will only work in Android or iOS, right? So if you use a component from OutSystem Forge, definitely they would have included the fallback. Fallback means like if it is called or defined, or if it is running as a native app, then they will call that a native plugin. Otherwise, they will not call. Even if that is not there, you have to add that condition so that the your application will work properly in the web version also. It will not call the native feature. If it is tried, if it try to call the native feature, then it will throw an error, right? So you can do that, and there are so many forge components are available for the mobile apps. You can utilize that instead of building your own component. But I'm not saying building your own components is bad, but if it is already there you can use it. But if it is a complex functionality, or you don't want to use maybe that forge component is coming with the AO, then in that case you can definitely use your own you can develop your own component. But the risk is like you have to test it properly with all the scenarios, and you have to keep the components up to date. That is also important because the version is changing very frequently. And yes, so user experience, right, in our system mobile application, how we can improve it? Because we all know, right, so they want very frequently, like they want to see something in the screen always. If it is taking more time, definitely they will switch the application, right? So for that, like how LinkedIn and Facebook is doing, right, you can create a empty slate. So when the data is trying to load, you can show this kind of animation, so they will understand, okay, something is going to come, and they will wait for sometime, right? So this is also one of the way so that you can improve the user experience. You can show a empty slate. And the second thing is prioritizing the screen content rendering. So as I said before, right, so you can show what is important to the user first. Then once it is done, then you can try to render the next content. And if you feel it is an image, it will take some time to load. In that case, you can, with the help of if and all, you can control it. If this particular data is fetched, then only show this one. Like that, you can add the condition also. With the help of that, what to say, like the user will see the data. If it is loading very fast, like whatever data loaded very fast, they can see that first, and slowly the second content can be loaded. So this one, you can do it with the if condition, and with the on after fetch and all, you can achieve this one. And image widget size settings, so it is very important. So if you're using an image in mobile application or web application, right, so you can resize it. And also you have to specify the width and height properly in the property, so that you can avoid the flickering effect. So if you are keeping this default width and height, first it will render completely, and then it will try to fit in the container. So to prevent this flickering effect, you have to specify the width and height properly. My suggestion is you can, even in the device, even before uploading only, you can resize it, compress it, and then you can use it for the mobile application. And yes, so true change. It's definitely a, what to say, it's a blessing for all the OutSystem developer. It will show performance suggestion, it will show the security suggestion. If you if you solve most of the warnings, right, then definitely your app will work perfectly. So it will automatically detect all the performance of flaw and security flaw. If you address that, definitely your app will become very fast. If you ignore that, then sometime maybe now it will work, because while developing or testing, right, the data will be very less, so that time it will not give any problem. But when the data grow, right, so when the app went to production, it can create some issues. So always check the warnings, don't ignore that. Yeah, always check the warnings and address it, so that your app will always give good performance with the huge data also. And yes, we already discussed about this. Always create lightweight local storage. Don't just mirror whatever there in the server to local. So for example, here they are saying, right, so there is a project entity and task entity and status entity. So, so in the local storage, right, instead of keeping three entities, not only it is good for performance, you can, so one local storage entity is one AO count. Okay, so if you create three entities like this in the local storage, then three AO will be increased. And not only that, the performance also will be affected. Instead of that, you can optimize it. You can normalize the entities and create the entities like this. So you can keep whatever is important for the mobile app. So you can keep it in one entity, and while syncing, you can handle that. While assigning the value, you can handle that, so that the performance also will be good. Because maybe, for example, right, in your list, you are not going to show the description, or project description and all. You do just to want to show the task description. Then why to sync this particular data, right? So you can just keep whatever is important for your mobile application and create a lightweight local storage. That is very important for performance as well as AO optimization. And splash screen, right? So splash screen, so whenever your app resume, the splash screen, yeah, the user will see. So this splash screen is just like a loader. Okay, you should not keep more items here. Maybe you can use some small image and some loading icon, that is fine, and small widget, UI widget is fine. But if you keep some very big image, and if you are calling something, if you are requesting some server data, and doing some business operation in the splash screen, it will definitely affect the performance. So always keep the design simple, and keep some simple loading icon, and don't call any server request in the splash screen. Splash screen is just like a loader. You should not do any business operation or server request in the splash screen. This is one of the best practice. And optimizing the server data fetching, as I said before, right? So if you are having two server call, instead of calling in the client side two times, you can create a single server action, and you can place the two server action in that particular action, and you can call only one time. So same thing here they are explaining here. So for example, so in OutSystem mobile app also, right? So whatever data sources you are keeping, if you say at start, everything will be fired on the same time, like a React application. It's asynchronous, but everything will be fired, right? So imagine if you are having 12 aggregates, then 12 requests will go to the server. So for one user, 12 requests. Imagine there are some 10,000 user, then the server can't handle that kind of load. So to avoid that, what you can do is you can create a data action. You can add more output parameter for the data action. Maybe initially the loading will be a little bit slow, but we are reducing the server request, right? So you can keep the two aggregate in that particular data action. and then you can return the output. I'm not saying only one data action. If it is relevant, you can keep it in one data action instead of 10 aggregate, right? Maybe you can keep 3 data action. By that way, you can reduce the server data request. So this is also very important to improve the performance. Maybe this problem, when you keep more aggregated, so it is, many places I saw that. So creating an aggregate is very easy in our system. We can just drag and drop and create it and all. So many people will create aggregates only. So even for each master data they will keep on adding the aggregate. So maybe when you are doing unit testing and all, it's fine. But when more user use that application because of so many screen aggregate, it will, the server will be overloaded. So it will create so many issues, so many performance issues. Server can't handle that kind of load. So it's always keep that in mind while developing the mobile applications. It is applicable for web as well. And efficient list loading, right? So you can fetch the data on demand, as I said before, right? So you are showing some job number, maybe out of 100 jobs, maybe that particular user interested in maybe one job, right? So what you can do is you can add some eye icon. So if they really want to know about it, then they can click that eye icon. Then you can fetch the data. You can keep that aggregate or a data action on demand. So when they click on it, you can fetch it. Even it is applicable to local storage as well. So you instead of it's not like it is not a server call. So I can fetch so many local storage entity in the screen. It's not like that. It is also data, right? So it will also affect the performance. Even if it is a local storage, you have to fetch the data only on demand, and you should keep the list screen a very, what to say, like very short, very minimal content. You have to show it in the list screen. Yes, that is the second point. Keep the list item simple. And one beauty in our system mobile app development is it is coming up with the infinite scrolling. That option is automatically there. Whenever you create a list, it will automatically coming with lazy loading option. So you can set some 10 records. Okay, so for 2000 pixel, right? So you can show that particular thing. You can in that record number you can change based on the 2000 pixel. That is the standard. So what you can do is when they scroll, right? When they scroll, then OutSystem will increase that number of record and try to fetch the additional records. So first 10, and then it will fetch 20, and then when they scroll, it will automatically detect. Okay, the screen is getting scrolled. So based upon that, it will fetch the data further. So because of that, for imagine you are having 2000 records, it will not fetch 2000 record in one shot. It will first fetch the 10 records, and when the user really scrolling, while scrolling itself, it will fetch. Even you can check it in your Gmail application. So always it will sing only 250 mails. When you scroll further, then only it will fetch the next 250. So same thing, it's already by out of box coming in our system. So you always use that. Keep the infinite scrolling up mechanism. And optimize data structure. So imagine maybe for some reason, right, your entity, local storage entity is not optimized, not normalized, right? But in the screen, out of 15 attributes, I want to show only 5 attributes in the list. So instead of using the entity complete list, right, what you can do is you can just create one structure and keep that only the 5 columns, whatever you want to show. And in the output you can cook only that particular data. So by that way you can optimize the instead of fetching everything, it will fetch, it the fetch only the 5 columns record. And prioritize data rendering, we already saw that. So first what is important, we will show that first, and then the next items will be loaded. So these things are very much important. And so this is the example of on scroll infinite scrolling. So on scroll the data, then remaining data will be fetched. For example, initial record is 5. and increment is 5, for example, and scroll threshold is 3000 px. So this is for social network post. So if it is a social network post, then the scroll threshold is 3000 px, and initially you can fetch 10 records, and then when while scrolling you can increment by 5, because it is a very big content, right? So that this is the standard. And if it is a online chat messages, okay, if your content is this much small, then you can initially fetch 20 records and you can target 2000 px, and then when they scroll further, right, then you can increment, you can fetch the next 20 records. And this is the standard for this kind of list, very small list. In that case you can fetch the 50 records, and when they scroll you can fetch 100 records, and the scroll threshold is 2000 px. So based on the list element height, right, you can decide how many records it is needed to be synced. So this is the standard what OutSystem is telling. So if your content is very big, then fetch 10, and then while scrolling fetch the remaining five, fetch additional 5. And if it is medium, then fetch 20, and when they scroll fetch the next items, next 20 records. And if it is very small, fetch 50 records when the screen load, and when they scroll further you fetch the 100 records. So this is the loading techniques and JavaScript usage. So OutSystem, anyway, whenever you create a client action, it is creating a JavaScript. So you better use OutSystem platform capabilities. But even some cases, right, you have to add the custom JavaScript, but try to minimize it. And if it is really needed, you can use that definitely. It is not like you can't use it, but you have to follow the best practices, and the code quality is very much important. You should not add more console.log and things like that. So the code quality is very important. And if you want to add any library, right, instead of adding the screen, for example, in a screen I want to use some JavaScript library, instead of initiating the JavaScript library like this, it is better always, you can keep that library in the script section, and then you can use it. It is not the correct way to do it. So you have, if you any JavaScript is there, you have to add it in this place only. So so these are the best practices what OutSystem is telling. Apart from that, from previous experience, right, so Adib covered most of the points. So whenever you create a column, you have to make sure all the places it is properly passed or not. Along with that, yes, one more thing I want to tell is, yes, you are checking the internet, whether the person is in the internet coverage or not in the end user. But that is not enough. Sometimes the developers can do some mistake, right, including me. So maybe without checking the internet, I may, because we are used to the web development, right? So reactive web development or traditional web development. So we can call that action server action without checking the proper internet is there or not. We sometimes we forget about the offline capability. So it is always better to check it in the core layer instead of end user layer. So whenever, if you are a tech lead or architect, right, so whenever you design any sync action, so in the initial, after the start, right, so OutSystem is telling you check the OutSystem is telling whether the particular user is having the permission or not. So along with that, what I'm telling is, before calling the server action itself, okay, so first you check whether the particular user is in online or not. Otherwise, they will get request failed with error in the mobile application. So you better, if you handle this one in the core layer itself, right? So all the sync action, if you just put that if condition before calling the server sync, in that case, no need to worry about the developer mistakes, right? Always it will be taken care. So when you can also tell the developer. So if they are creating any server action, you can tell them to check this particular thing. So you have to check the internet availability first. Then only you have to execute the server action. In that case, it will be automatically handled. And some cases, right? So we are always selling lightweight storage and all, but it is always because of the business use case and all, sometimes it's not possible. Sometimes the user wants to sync all the data in the local storage and all, right? So in that case, how we can put a threshold so that we will not get any over the device usage is over, right? So that kind of error, how we can avoid it? So what you can do is, so in the while fetching the data from the server, right? I'm not saying max record. What you can do is, anyway, like all the entities will have updated on or created on, right? What you can do is you can create one side properties, number of days. Okay, so for example, I can set 20 days or 30 days based on it is, we should keep it as a side property so that in runtime we can change it based on the data, right? So for example, I am setting 30 days, right? So in your server sync, while fetching the record using that aggregate, right? That server sync, there is an aggregate. So in that place, what you can do is, if the you have to check what is the side property value. Based upon that, you can add the filter saying that my uh, updated on should be greater than the 30 days before whatever date, right? Add days, current date minus the site property value means. So what is the date before 30 day? For example, 25 12 2024. So my updated on should be greater than 25 12 2024. Like that you can fetch it. By that way, you can, yeah, I understand they want all the data, but they will not, maybe if their use case is, for example, they are not very much interested in old data, right? So then you can keep this kind of mechanism so that you can control in the runtime. Sometimes the user will say no, we want all the data, but sometimes in future, right? So errors can come. So if you have this kind of feature already, then you can easily handle it without changing the code. And this is one way of doing is. Another one way of doing is like wish list kind of thing. For example, like there are so many records, maybe so many projects, so project, based on project, there are so many child and so many records are there, but main in my project, the main entity is primary entity is project. So what you can do is, for example, there are 100 projects. Instead of syncing all the 100 project and associated record for that particular project, instead of that, you can ask the user. You can show the list of project. You can put some plus icon. Okay, so if they click plus icon, right? So it's like a add to wish list, all right? Then you can sync only that particular project. For example, out of 100, I selected 5. Then in your sync project, you have to pass all the 5 IDs and sync only that particular 5 projects. Not only the parent, all the associated record, also associated sync, you have to pass that information and sync only that particular 5 project records. That is also one way of doing it. Maybe the user, if you give that, then the user can decide what they really want in the offline. This is one way of doing it. Another one way of doing it is, maybe it depends on business use case, right? So imagine I am working on some job, right? I am, so imagine, right? So that if one user is working on that job, other user will not touch that job. If that is the business case, then based on the user ID you can sync. So imagine job is a entity, right? You can sync with, like, created on is equal to the current user ID, only sync that particular job. So out of 100, imagine I created only 5 jobs, right? So it will sync only that 5 jobs. So based on the business case, you have to definitely think about it and design accordingly. You can't just use out system pattern. You have to add some filter and fetch only the relevant data. And you are even the business is not saying, you have to have some, this kind of mechanism, so that in future, once the data is grow, or some storage issues are coming, you can easily trouble you can easily fix that problem without changing the code. So these things are very much important. Right, yeah, that's it from my side. So you can put your question in this chat, not only from the today's session, even from the previous session. If you have any question, you can put it in the chat. We can discuss about it.
Right, Hatimari. So all the as Hatimari mentioned, all the previous important topics of mobile development in mobile and synchronization patterns we have already covered in the last two sessions. As this was a continuous master class of three sessions. In the last session, we have kept the best practices. So if you have any doubts in any of the session, you can of course DM us, or you can right now ping us in the comments.
Any questions? Okay. Okay, then, yeah. Can you please share the OML of last session? Yes, Adip, can you please share that OML? So I need to upload it and share it. So Sangam, so maybe in some time I'm going to upload the SharePoint. I'm going to share the SharePoint URL in the LinkedIn. With that, I will also share the OML. You can download and use it.
Sure, Nitin. Anything else?
Okay, any other questions? And from my experience, I'm telling this. So maybe the patterns and all, when you work on it, right? So you may face some challenges, and when you debug more, you will understand better. So maybe if you are new to OutSystem mobile app development, my suggestion to you is you create some mobile application, play around with it, try to sync the data, and also debug it. Okay, step by step, what is really exactly happening, you debug so that you will understand the flow. Can you please share the session recording of previous two session? Yes. Yeah, it is. I will share it in the chat. I just, I think 2 days before I shared in my LinkedIn profile. I will share it in the chat as well. All right.
Okay, then, Hatimari, I believe we can proceed with the quiz.
Yes, just a minute. I will share that video link. Then we can proceed. 1 minute.
Sure.
So this is whatever I'm pasting now is session two. And actually we are having one one YouTube channel. So we are slowly uploading all the videos, all the recorded videos in the channel. You can subscribe to that and you can watch the videos. So the second link is the first session videos. Okay, and the second session PPT also some people requested. I'm sending in the chat. So first session PPT also I will share it shortly in the LinkedIn as well as the OML. Okay, thanks everyone. So it's the time for quiz. I will share my screen again. Just a minute. Mm, 1 minute. Yeah. Okay. Hope my screen is visible. Okay.
Yes, certainly it is visible.
I just a minute. I will share again. Okay. So the pin is going to load now. So it's the same rule. You can join her booth with that pin, and we will ask 10 questions. So whoever is answering very fast and correct answer can get the gift from OutSystem. So this is the pin 935624. So we will check the participants' history and all, and we will announce the masterclass winners. Class winner, three winners. We will announce, and I will announce in LinkedIn. You can see so many repeated participants. I can see so many people who joined first and second session, joined this session as well. Thanks for that. And if you have any suggestion for the next master class and next session, right, please let us know. So we will arrange for it. And if you want to speak, you are always welcome. Please reach out to me or Krishnambal. Okay. So I can see 24 participants. Minutes. 23 people joined. 24. Okay, let's start the game. Okay, the first question. Why should heavy logic be executed on the server side? Why we should keep all the heavy logic in the server side only? Okay, already I think more people answered. 24 answers I can see. Yes, to reduce the client side complexity, we should keep the heavy logic in the server side. That is the correct answer. 15 people answer correctly. And now let's see the leaderboard. Kashmira first, and Vashahat Sheikh second, Rajeshri third. So this leaderboard anytime can change. It is based on the correct answer and how fast you are selecting the option. When should you use the JavaScript over OutSystems local? Okay, almost everybody answered. The time is over now. The answer is yes. For advanced extensibility scenario, that case we can't avoid. So that is the correct answer. And let's see the leaderboard. Yes, Sahana is leading, Rajeshri second, and Roshan Nayak third. Congratulations. And let's go to the third question. What is the purpose of designing an empty state while content is being fetched? To improve user experience, to reduce network traffic, to optimize the workforce, to minimize sharpness. Empty state, if it take more time, right? What happened? That is the answer. Yes. To improve the user experience, you have to keep the splash screen very short. The empty state is needed. Okay, and Rajeshri is leading, Roshan Nayak second, and Jose is third. The next question: How can you prioritize the screen content rendering in OutSystem? By using JavaScript, by fetching all data at once, by delaying secondary content rendering, by avoiding server request. Okay, 5 minutes, 5 seconds more. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes, the answer is by delaying the secondary content rendering. Okay, now let's see who is leading. Roshan is leading, Joe second, Vasahat say third. Okay, the fifth question. What happens if you don't set the width and height of an image widget? What will happen? Improve rendering time, faster image download, flickering effect during loading, content became static. So what is the correct answer? So 5 seconds more. Okay, I think most of the people answered already. Yes, flickering effects will occur if you are not setting the width and height property properly. And Roshan again leading, Vasagat second, Rajeshri third. Okay, the next question. Which OutSystem feature provides common mobile UI patterns? Service Center or True Change, OutSystem UI framework or data action? I think this question is very easy. Yes, OutSystem UI framework will give the common mobile UI patterns. And Roshan is still leading, Vasagat Sheikh second and Rajeshri third. And fourth Ram Prasad, fifth Afak. Okay, seventh question. What should be avoided on splash screen for better performance? Simple UI elements, server records and heavy logic, small images, static effect. Which of these items we should not keep in the splash screens? Okay, 3 seconds more. Yes, server echoes and heavy logic, we should not keep it in the splash screen. Again, Roshan is leading, Vashad second, Rajeshri third, and Sangam fourth, Afak fifth. Okay, 3 questions more. How should list be optimized for better performance? Fetch all records at once. Use on-scroll ending to fetch data on demand. Avoid rendering list. Use complex list item logic. Okay, let's see. 3 seconds. Yes, you have to use on-scroll ending to fetch the data on demand. Roshan is leading, Vasat Sek and Sangam the third, Afak is fourth. Okay, anytime it can change. 2 more questions. How can you optimize server data fetching for a screen? Use multiple sequential server records. Use a single data action for all the aggregates. Fetch not all the aggregates, maybe some of the aggregates. Fetch data on the client side. Use JavaScript to handle server calls. Okay. Yes, use a single data action for some of the aggregates. Okay, the leaderboard not changed much. Roshan is leading, second Vashagat, third is Sankam. Okay, the last and final question: which tool in OutSystem alerts developer to perform, for the performance warning? Where we can see the performance warnings? Debugger, tool chain, service center, forge. It's a very easy question. I think almost all the people answered already. 3, 2, 1. Yes, the answer is true change. In true change, you can see performance warnings, security warnings, everything you can see it in the true change. Okay, now let's see the leaderboard. The third is Afak. Oh, congratulations, Afak. Second, Sangam. Congratulations. First, yeah, congratulations, Roshan, Sangam, and Afak. And Vashagat and Ram Prasad, fourth and fifth place. And congratulations to all the participants. Thanks for you learned something today, and I hope you will try from your end as well. And if you have any question, you can reach out to us. And winning is winning. Apart from winning, you participated also, right? That is also one kind of winning only. Thanks for your time, and we will come up with some interesting session in the next one. We will meet soon. And after this session, ending, right? So you can you will get one feedback survey. Please fill that, share your feedback. And as I said before, if you have any topic, if you want to deliver a session, please reach out to me or Krishnambal. And once again, thanks for your time in the weekend. Thank you. Thanks, Sadeep. It's really a
Thank
very
you.
informative session you have delivered. And thanks for your time, and looking for from more session from you. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, Hathaway. It's really fun doing this. I
Yeah.
will be. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Have a nice day.
Thanks, everyone. Have a nice weekend. Bye.